Welcome back. As big tech and the energy-intensive data centers needed to power it grow in the U.S., so are America's electricity bills. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, the average retail residential price for 1 kilowatt hour of electricity in the U.S. has increased by about 6.5% over the past year. And evidence is mounting that data centers are part of this conversation, possibly irritatingly so. Ari Peskoe joins me now. He is the director of the Electricity Law Initiative at Harvard Law School. Didn't even know there was such a thing. Ari, it's great to have you with us. My incredible staff has put together a lot of data on this, and I want to go through it. So, as of March, there were 5,000 data centers in our country. Explain to my audience how much energy they consume and how they differ from a residential consumer or even a regular factory or business.
Sure. So data centers have been part of the backbone of our internet for decades, and they use a few percent of electricity in the United States. What's changed, though, really since the introduction of ChatGPT a few years ago is the size of these facilities. Today, the new data centers that are being developed use as much electricity as a large city. And we're seeing companies trying to develop these facilities, these industrial scale computing facilities across the country.
This is another great question my team put together. According to market watchdog Monitoring Analytics, data center demand drove 70% of last year's increased electricity cost, or about $9.3 billion. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, so what that's talking about is that the country is divided into various regions. There's one region that stretches from New Jersey to Chicago down to North Carolina. They run an annual auction to make sure they have enough power plants in the region to keep the lights on. The value of that auction spiked. And this consultancy that you're referring to is in charge of monitoring the market, calculated that basically data centers were responsible for 70% of that cost increase. And that's shared across the region to all consumers and businesses in the area.
Ari, what are the trajectories in the next 3 or 4 years in this space?
So it's possible this problem could get worse, but we do have regulators in every state that are responsible for the prices charged by electric utilities. There's a lot they can do to improve the situation. 3 out of 4 Americans get service from a for-profit utility that makes money not by selling energy, but by building infrastructure like power lines and power plants. These new data centers are so large that utilities have a great excuse to build a lot of infrastructure and spread those costs to everyone, even though they're being built just for these data centers. But there's a lot that regulators can do to try to isolate these data centers and the cost that they're causing on the system to make sure that the rest of America is not paying for these facilities.
Speaking of who's paying for it, would not a customer irked by higher electricity prices reasonably ask the question, wait a minute, we're talking about corporations that are larger than most countries on this planet. Why can't they pay for the cost entirely since they are the beneficiaries of them in the first place?
That's absolutely the right question to ask. And I think we're starting to see states wise up to this challenge. There have been a number of laws passed, politically diverse as places like Maryland and Utah, that are trying to tackle this problem. One way to do it is by, as I said, trying to isolate these costs, make sure the data centers are paying for them. The other opportunity here is really to break the monopolies that utilities have and allow data centers to actually go out and buy power from someone who's not your local utility and therefore wouldn't have the ability to basically spread that cost across the region. So we are seeing a few states look into that opportunity as well to basically say these monopolies make sense for everyday Americans to make sure that we all get electricity service. But when it comes to the world's wealthiest corporations, they can go out and procure their own power. They're very sophisticated companies. They know how to do that, and let them have that opportunity, and that will protect consumers from any costs that might result.
Harvard's Ari Peskoe. I appreciate the time, sir, and your expertise. Thanks so much.